Most operators do not change the value of any variable. In other words, they do not have any side effects. They don't change the state of the system. For example, we have A plus B. A and B are both variables. We read the value of A, we read the value of B, and we add those two values together, but that addition does not change what's stored in A or what's stored in B. Another example, if we take X and we right shift it 3 bits, we're reading the value from X and we're right shifting the value, but we're not changing what's stored in X. So we say that operators like this do not have any side effects. But there are 3 operators in C that do have a side effect: assignment, increment, and decrement. And the purpose of these operators is to change the value that's stored in a variable. Let's talk about assignment first. So the assignment operator is represented by the equal sign. Remember, we had equal was the relational operator equals to. This is different. This is an assignment operator. Its job is to assign or store a value to a variable. So on the left-hand side of an assignment operator, we have the name of a variable. And on the right-hand side, we have a value. Okay? The left-hand side cannot be a value. We can't change the value of 17 because 17 is not a variable. We can't change. There's no storage associated with that number. So the thing on the left has to be a variable, equals, and then some value on the right. Now the value can be an arbitrary expression, right? So any expression represents a value, and so we say B equals A minus C divided by D, we compute this value, A minus C divided by D. None of these variables will be changed, but we take that result and we change the variable B to now hold that result. Now, this whole thing is an expression. There's an expression, an operator, an expression. It's not a statement. There's no semicolon here, so it's not a statement. So the result of this expression, of the assignment expression, is the value that was stored. Now we have these special operators that we can combine assignment with one of the arithmetic or bitwise operators, the ones that take 2 operands. So we can say plus equals, minus equals, times equals, and equals, right shift equals. Okay? Use all of those different operators like that. And this is just a shorthand way of expressing something that's very common. Say we want to take a variable A and you want to change it by taking the old value and then combining it with some new value. So for example, plus equals will take the old value of A and add this value, whatever the expression is over here, to A and then store it back into A. So another way of writing this is this, A equals A plus expression. And we put parentheses around the expression here to show that this plus has a lower precedence because it's associated with the assignment than anything that happens over here. So this is just a shorthand way of writing this. And you can do it with right shift, and, or, exclusive or, divide, modulo, any of those arithmetic and bitwise operators. Okay, so that's assignment. The other 2 operators that have a side effect are the increment, plus plus, and decrement, minus minus. So plus plus means increment by 1. These operators work with integer variables. They don't work floating point. They don't work with, they don't work only with integer variables, okay? So plus plus means increment by 1, minus minus means decrement by 1. And the side effect is to actually change the variable according to the increment or decrement. Now the slightly confusing thing about increment and decrement is that we can use them as a prefix operator or as a postfix operator. So let's say we have variable a, and we can say plus plus a to increment it, minus minus a to decrement it, or we can use a plus plus or a minus minus. And these two ways of writing it have different effects. They have different meanings. So we put the increment in front of the variable. We're saying we want to increment or decrement before we use the value of the variable. This is part of a larger expression typically, and the result of this expression is we're going to increment the value of a, and then we're going to read the value of a and use it. A plus plus means we're going to increment or decrement after the value is used. So we're going to read the value of a, we're going to remember it and use that in the expression, and then we're going to increment and change the value that's stored in a. So here we're using the new incremented value, here we're using the old value before it was incremented. Let me show you an example. Let's say at the beginning of time we have a variable a. Every variable has some storage location associated with it, and this particular storage location has the value 10. So this is the beginning of time, and then we want to evaluate this expression, 20 minus a plus plus. The parentheses are not specifically required because plus plus has a higher precedence than minus, but I wanted to make it clear what was going on. So we want to increment a and subtract it from 20. But because we said a plus plus, then we're going to increment a after we use it in the expression. And so 20 minus a plus plus. A plus plus means we want to increment a, so it changes, the value in this box changes from 10 to 11. So after this expression is evaluated, the value that's stored in a is 11, but we use the old value, 10, in the rest of the expression. So we compute 20 minus 10 and we get an answer of 10. Over here, same thing with pre-increment. So we start out the same way. A is 10, 20 minus plus plus a. Plus plus a means we're going to change the value of a from 10 to 11. We're going to increment it by 1. But because we did the increment before the value, we're going to use the new value. We're going to grab the value that after the increment and use that, 20 minus 11, and the answer would be 9.